All right, hello everyone, and welcome. A big thanks to Brown Island for hosting tonight. We really appreciate having us here. Our next meeting will be held on April 24th at 1 But tonight we're diving into the fantastic world of cybersecurity. Our topic is ethical hacking 101, breaking into the right way. And we have a fantastic speaker with us to guide us. Mandy is a certified cybersecurity professional, entrepreneur with a real passion for teaching OffSec security. She's dedicated into mentoring the next generation of cybersecurity experts and making ethical hacking accessible through hands-on workshops, CTFs, and breaking into community. Please welcome and give a warm welcome to Mandy.
Thank you. Definitely happy to be here. Always want to take advantage of giving back to my community, whichever way possible. So with that, we'll get right into it. Today I want to talk about ethical hacking and more specifically bug bounty programs. A good way that you can get started, hands-on experience in ethical hacking, and also potentially get paid for it as well. So we'll get right into the presentation. Maybe. Oh, there we go. Okay. Wrong button. So to start, I've got my QR code that'll let you guys get connected with me on LinkedIn. It's got all my info in there, but who am I? I guess I'm still trying to figure that out. I really like giving back to my community any way possible. So that's kind of why I like being able to speak on cybersecurity. I feel like it's a gap that I see within the like Detroit digital equity. So I have started a business for cybersecurity consulting to try and give back also to my community, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and get them on a good start to securing their online presence. I also kind of help expanding my services in my business into instructing. There's a lot of nonprofits for like women in cyber that I help out, including Black Girls Hack and WSY. This went through tutoring boot camp for WSY through immersive labs. So if you guys need like any resources getting into cybersecurity or coding or learning more, definitely reach out. And I also just started a mobile bartending business. So if you guys have any like weddings or any kind of parties coming up, definitely let me know. I can help out in my mission. I definitely want to focus on empowering like the next generation. I love talking to the kids and just overall giving back to the community. So that's kind of what I'm here to try and do, to spread some knowledge and let you guys know, I guess, how to protect the digital world that we're living in. So one thing I want to kind of emphasize about ethical hacking is mainly mindset. It takes a lot of curiosity, precision, and also responsibility to be an ethical hacker. With great power comes great responsibility. You guys have heard that? Yeah, that's definitely the case here. Um, the main thing with ethical hacking is making sure we are helping like the engineers and the developers and everybody in the organization kind of know more about security. So when we expose some of these vulnerabilities, the goal is to help to patch them, help remediate or mitigate those risks. So we never want to use our power for bad. So as we go into ethical hacking, I guess what it is, white hat and gray hat, those are more in the good realm. I feel like for a gray hat hacker, it can be very easy to kind of step over those lines, especially in like new territory. For a example, like AI, there's a lot of AI hacking that is going on right now. So people are experimenting, I guess, with the boundaries of AI, but you still want to make sure that you're doing everything responsibly. And that is kind of like what ultimately helps to protect people, businesses, and data is when you have these ethical hacking methodologies, and you also have, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but the scope. Usually, with these bug bounty programs, there are scopes that they put on their websites of what you can hack into and what may be off limits. So that's really the main thing to follow. But also, if you see something, you want to make sure you're following the appropriate route to get it reported. And we'll go through some different platforms and programs. For example, HackerOne. This is one of the ones that I utilize the most. And BugCrowd. BugCrowd is another one that I really try and utilize mainly because it has BugCrowd University. So if you guys are just like getting started in bug bounties, they have this platform that you can go through self-paced learning and get a little bit more idea of the different, like not only tools but also the skills that you would need to have to be a bug bounty hunter. There's some other ones that I was able to research and get like some information on for you guys. Microsoft's bug bounty program and Apple security bug bounty program. These are two that are maybe more like vendor specific with Brownout and HackerOne. There's multiple different companies on there that maybe having advertisements for their company to have certain publicly available websites and web applications available for like security researchers like us to come in and not break, but break, and then you will get paid if it is something that is not been reported already, and then also you want to have a really good report written up. So I guess the process of getting into one of these bug bounty programs. I guess my PowerPoint doesn't do well with the pointer. But for HackerOne in the crowd, for example, there's going to be security pages for all of these different programs. So one that I have gone through myself is Quizlet. I usually try and target like smaller companies rather than like Tesla or Apple or Microsoft, just because I've noticed it's like better odds. People usually have targets on the bigger companies' backs a lot more, and with Quizlet and like Shopify, those are ones that they don't necessarily have as many people trying to go after the bug bounties. So it's easier to get your first hit and not have it be like a duplicate, something that somebody's already reported. So once you go in, you'll be able to see the advertisement, and if we have time, we can go through and do a demo to one of these pages, probably Book Crowd, because that's what I'm most familiar with. And it'll have all the information on the bug bounty program that you need, including the scoop, the scope, and the reward expectations. So different programs, they offer different rewards. Some of it may just be like swag, others may actually be money. The 0 days are like one of the most lucrative, but there's also other different types of bounties or rewards for valid reports. So you definitely want to make sure you check in whatever advertisement page that they have and see if you want the reward that they're offering before you start going into that specific bug bounty program. Um, Once you have chosen what program you want to go through, the company, they will have different like websites that are available or potentially even like subdomains. They may have mobile apps that are in or out of scope. So you definitely want to check those before you submit your report. And when you start hacking and getting your proof of concept together, you want to document everything, I would just say, and then kind of really hone in on how you want that documented for the final report at the end. But definitely when you're going through, document everything, when you're doing your proof of concept, because if you don't explain the vulnerability in detail, then there may be delays when you go through and report it through these platforms. So report writing is definitely important. Okay. So going more into the skills that you would need to become a bug bounty hunter. I just kind of wrote down some basic like OWASP top 10, the different scripting languages that you should have, and proxy tools. So Burp Suite is actually something that I utilize the most for web application testing, and that's like kind of where I've been specializing in is web application pen testing. And every week I actually go through and have a Burp Suite class where we go through their free web security academy, and we learn different like vulnerabilities when it comes to web apps, and then also how to exploit them. So that's a pretty cool thing that I do to kind of stay up to date in the different functionalities of that specific proxy tool. But there's also things like Codecademy that you can go on and get more experience with the different bash scripting languages, and they also have IDs like that you can interact with in the browser. You don't necessarily have to go through and download and have a bunch of dependencies if you're just learning to code or to use these scripting languages. OWASP and these web app fundamentals, I would say the easiest way to get experience with them is to build your own website. And then from there, go through the OWASP top 10, see, and you can not only exploit those in your own website, but also remediate those. So these are kind of the core technical skills that I would say for bug bounty hunting, and the ways that I will also say to go through and learn a little bit more about this. I guess before I continue, are there any questions?
I'm not sure you're going to get to there, but what sort of experience have you had with not with the HackerOne bug crowd people? Like the way that these things work is you're submitting to someone in the middle who's deciding whether it's worth your bug report getting to the
So that's kind of where the report writing skills come into play the most, because if you don't have a good report, it's
yeah, but it's just more. Just the question was more like, if you had good experience with those people.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've had good experience. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's been the most like the best, just because a lot of my bug bounties have already been reported, so like they're duplicates. But if you have a really good report, then sometimes they still will go through and reward you, even if it is for a duplicate, because the person that reported it originally may not have had as well of a proof of concept written. But it's definitely an issue.
I think all the reports actually still go through to the company itself. It doesn't necessarily stop. They're there to put the criticality of the report.
It depends on some of them, they really are, they're the gateway, so that way they don't, that would company run. So, like, if you ever go check out Will Dorman on Blue Sky, he'll tell you the stories he's had trying to deal with the middlemen, that are in between him and he's trying to go submit to. There's like a recent story about how he needed to go send a video of typing very simple commands because not the end questioner, but the bounty program. That's, I thought just if you ever see it, check out Will Corbett and it made the news 2 weeks ago.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I mean, for vendor-specific types of programs like the Apple Security Program and the Microsoft Bounty, I would expect that there would not be as much. Well, still a person reviewing the book bounty reports, but it's still an internal Microsoft associate. Whereas with people like with Bugcrowd and HackerOne, the people who are seeing the report first off are working for Bugcrowd and HackerOne. So yeah, the middleman, it is sometimes kind of frustrating because, like I said, if you don't have your report written out very detailed and very thorough, it'll get sent back. And not only if it's just a duplicate, if you have like maybe something that is something brand new, if it's not a good report, they will not accept it. And like you were saying about
Yeah, I was just gonna, I can pose it as a question. Should we be careful when hunting bugs to companies that may not describe a bug bounty reward versus those who do specifically describe them with different levels of 0 day and single injection and all these other things? Should we be careful on what amount of work we put into certain bugs as to what we will be rewarded?
I would definitely say yes, because if you go on like some of those programs like HackerOne and BugCrowd, they're usually really good about the severity grading assigned to each payout. But if you are doing something for a company that may not have like a defined bug bounty program, they may not necessarily.
Like if you find something big, they're not gonna pay you a lot if they're a little company, right? If you find a 0 day on Facebook and you explicitly, disclose it, then they might give you, like $100,000 or something. But you might get like $5,000 from the mom and pop shop that you found something,
Usually the mom and pop shops are the ones to have like advertisements to those third parties like HackerOne and BuzzCrowd. And then there's like the Facebook and the Zoom that have their own in-house bug bounty programs. I would say that usually the more lucrative does come with the bigger companies, but they're also, like I was saying, a lot harder to find the exploits that haven't been exploited already. I feel like with the mom and pops, those are the ones that are a little bit more, I wouldn't say easier, because it's still like a lot of research that goes into it, but they're a lot more attainable when it comes to actually getting rewarded. But good questions, you guys. I wanna get into some safe hacking. That sounds good. Okay. I want to get into some safe hacking environments. So I know you guys are all probably really excited about bug bounties and want to go in and start hacking stuff right away. But a lot of the times it's a lot easier if you have some like guidance, I guess. So these are some practice and safe hacking environments that I had came up with. I'm sure you guys have all heard of these before. Seem pretty well versed in the InfoSec community, but Horsewicker Web Security Academy, that's the one that I was talking about going through every week through Black Girls Hack. You guys can go on the website and sign up for free membership and be able to sign up and come see me talk and go through different web application exploits and vulnerabilities. DBWA, I don't necessarily like this one as much just because like it's realistic in the sense that it has multiple different exploits available to you, but I don't necessarily think it's realistic when you go through thinking that you're going through like an actual web application penetration test. So I think it's good to practice your skills, but when it comes to actually going through and doing a web application pen test, I feel like G-Shop is the best because you can set it up in your own environment, and then it also has like a gamified version to it. So you guys can go through and set up like a CTF if you're in a group, or you can just go through and create like a pen test and you can write a report. There's actually a company that's done a pen test report on Juicebox professionally. So you guys can go check that out and see all the exploits that they found. And I believe they also give like remediations and stuff as well in there. So that's a good way to kind of not only have a practice lab or a safe hacking environment, but also to be able to see what a new report looks like. Because again, if you don't have that report, then it's going to be really hard to get made, even if you do have a really good vulnerability that you're exposing. Hack the box. I definitely want to call them out because they just started doing these new certification hacks that they have. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have checked those out or not, but they are starting to become more of a certification organization. They have different pathways that you can go through and learn, and then they also have like a fancy piece of paper that they have. But the main reason why I like Hack the Box is I believe this bug bounty, professional bug bounty hunter, certification is because it is real. It actually drops you into the environment and it lets you go through and with the penetration test as if you were in a real like web application. So I like that instead of like the multiple choice because it really shows that you have those skills. And yeah, it's a really cool piece of paper that they give you. They give you like a whole little swag box. So
They also put the number of hours that you spent doing the challenges, which I think is funny.
okay, have you experimented with Hack the Box?
No, I just saw somebody paper today.
Okay.
I had the hour count at the bottom. I thought it was funny. Like, I don't know if I would be. I don't know if I would be embarrassed or not. Like,
Yeah.
how long did that take you? Yeah, it was like 30. I think the guy's was like 35 hours or something with one of the certs, but it's probably irrelevant.
I mean, sometimes it can be hard getting like down certain rabbit holes. I feel like one of the good advice or tips that I have gotten as a boat bounty hunter is not to get too caught up in anything. So set the amount of time that you want to spend on certain things before you start into them. And then at that point, you will want to move on just because it can be dangerous getting down certain rabbit holes. And yeah, so Hack the Box also has a thing where you can kind of build up like your hacker brand, I guess, and they'll partner you with different companies that are looking for penetration testers, depending on what your Hack the Box rating is. So I would definitely try that out. I know they also have a Hack the Box Academy that you guys can go through and learn the different methodologies, and it even like pairs it up with different boxes that you can go through and then like kind of show the skills that you have just learned. So yeah, those are the ones that I have gone through that I would recommend. And I thought this presentation was supposed to be 30 minutes and not an hour. So I didn't want to like overload you guys with stuff, but it's good we could go through a little demo and I can show you what an actual bug bounty like advertisement looks like and what the scope is on the page. But there's my logo, or not my logo, my QR code again. And I just wanted to say to catch me at the upcoming cybersecurity events in Detroit. We've got B-Sides coming up, and ISC Square, they're a certification body that does CISSP and the newfound CC, we've been giving away a million free cybersecurity certifications to people. So I have joined up with the Detroit local chapter to help out with their event planning. They're going to be having something at the end of this month, and also a joint meeting with the GRC folks in June. And Dave & Buster's. I hope to get back together. So bring out our inner kids. B-Stacks is going to be fun as well. I'm helping to organize that as we were talking about earlier. So I'm excited to kind of get that revamped and be able to really see like the InfoSec community of Detroit come together. But with that, if there's no more questions, I can go in and we can
So
look at
have you done anything about trying to automate some of your testing?
The most automation that I will use is through like the Burp Suite Community Edition. They've got some different functionality on there when it comes to specifically like brute forcing or fuzz testing. But I haven't necessarily gotten into building my own tools yet. I guess that's like kind of the next level.
Well, or just figuring out how to automate Burp Suite so you do everything.
Yeah, like when I come in, all the first initial points to hit, I think that would definitely be something that's worthwhile going through and trying to figure out. Because I just feel like there's some things that you can do the same on each website, and then depending on what you find during like that kind of that reconnaissance phase, then it would show you where to go next. So that would definitely help speed up the whole process. It's a good point.
What's the next step in your career?
The next step in my career?
What are you doing?
Well, I'm doing a lot of stuff. I need to sit down somewhere and think about that, I suppose. I do want to start my own business. I definitely feel like there's a gap in the cybersecurity like posture of Detroit. I have had a couple of clients so far in my cybersecurity consultancy, and it's hard to translate to people who don't have like applications on the web or aren't using like tech focused services or solutions. But I definitely feel like it's needed. I think that people don't necessarily know a lot about cybersecurity, and so it's kind of scary to them. But I feel like demystifying it is like one of my goals and one of the things that kind of motivates me. But as far as where I want to go next, I definitely like offensive security. Right now I'm on the blue side. I'm in a SOC and corporate, so it would be nice to get over to the red team and kind of see. Like I know it's mostly like a lot of policies and like politics, I would say, and red tape that comes with penetration testing in a corporate environment, but I still think it would be pretty cool, especially to get with like a pen testing company that does physical security. So, I don't know.
What kind of tools are you using in your corp job, your SOC job?
So we utilize a lot of EDR. Our SIEM is really important, but we're also switching that over, and we're starting to get into the cloud, so like CASBs. The main thing, I guess, is integration, being able to kind of see everything through that single pane of glass, whether it be your ticketing system or your SIEM. That's kind of what we're working on fixing right now, is getting our email security platform, everything all integrated into the SIEM so that we can have that single pane of glass and be able to query that way. I guess it's just kind of hard because asset management is always an issue. But I like corporate. I think it's cool. It's just where I'm at right now. There's a lot of different rules, so I guess what I do is very specific. I don't necessarily get to coordinate with other teams a lot, but when I do, I definitely enjoy it. I'm going through like a cloud integration project right now, and that's pretty cool. But outside of that, I don't really get to talk to many other teams unless it's like an application owner or we're pushing for some kind of remediation for a finder that we have, or I think that's like really the only downside.
Do you have any like cool reports that you want to share? I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there any like, hey, I found this thing, minus NDAs and all that. You might have a censored version of it, but I'm just kind of curious on show and tell type of. I found this cool thing, examples if you will. If not, that's totally fine. I don't want to put you on the spot. But I'm just curious.
I have something that I walked through on my portfolio website. I went through not necessarily a bug bounty program, but a CTF. Sneak. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they are kind of like in the shift left movement of helping the developers care more about cybersecurity. So it's something that they would use to scan their repositories before they even got to like development environments. That is one thing that I've gone through and been able to like solve the CTF and create a walkthrough as well. So I'll just show you guys that, but I don't necessarily know if it's all that like sexy. Like I'm not popping any shows or anything. It's really just
Just curious. Like sometimes people look around a certain thing, right? You're like, hey, check this out, because the nature of the talk. But if not,
no. I mean,
yeah, that's fair.
Okay, yeah.
But a question before that. So,
Okay.
Are you worried about like rate limiting your scans when you're doing bug bounties so you don't necessarily take down a site?
I don't necessarily do DDoSing when I'm going through and doing my bug bounties. So not necessarily. A lot of the times they even say in the scope for the bug bounty that like DDoS is kind of off limits. But when I'm doing just like reconnaissance scans, Not necessarily. It may be something that I should be more worried about, especially depending on the certain type of like company that I'm targeting. But for the most part, everything's just been like within the cloud. So I haven't really paid too many attention to rate the rate at which I'm scanning certain things.
Because I know certain sites, they might not have a lot of resources behind it, so even a normal scan could come.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
But
that's always
arguably,
a,
those sites don't belong on the
Yeah.
modern internet.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like
They
they are, yeah. But okay.
We'll say it's pretty rare, I think.
But the problem will solve itself when they suddenly go offline.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I mean, that's how you know.
That's how you know.
You give it the perks, we fucking death. I briefly touched you and you fell over, sorry.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying for, especially when I like hopefully transition into enterprise level. I was just like listening to a webinar and they were talking about in the hospital system where they have like these really expensive pieces of equipment in the surgery rooms. And they have to be, yeah, they have to be isolated, but I guess there was one that got put on the network for whatever reason and was still vulnerable to configure. And so, yeah, they were just like, it was more of an issue with their processes because they couldn't find any change controls saying why that machine got put on to the network. Usually it was mitigated, the risk was mitigated by isolating it. So,
True story time. 30 years ago, I informed Beaumont Hospital, right over there, that you could tell them from the internet to their x-ray machines. Actually, no, that one wasn't telling. You could log in to their x-ray machines. And yes, they were public. Beaumont.edu. This was different time. But yeah, I mean, the issues these days, I mean, even still is you have medical equipment where like the FDA says, don't touch it.
yeah, that's what they said. Is you
And
can't
HIPAA
patch it.
says, well, popular interpretations of HIPAA, start communication with HIPAA, say, thou shalt patch it, and it's like FDA, HIPAA, yeah, it's like, you know, you're not supposed to, on the one hand, these are medical devices, and of course they want to isolate them because, your ability to update them is limited. Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
you can patch it, and that's how you end up with like these Windows 98 boxes, that are still in production doing stuff.
Yeah, well, part is because from the design software business.
Yeah.
Or, no, you're trying to still in business.
Anyways, thank you, Manny.
Yeah, I mean, we can go into like
Great
some
conversation.
other stuff. That's the majority of it. So hopefully.